Amazon is a public company. They want more revenue from both their customers and from the brands out there. And they also want more profit. And so how do they do that? Well, conversion rate, you've got to convert highly on each specific term for each product. From a velocity side, how do you get the velocity if you don't have it? You spend money on ads. Give them more money, they'll help reward you on the back end. Obviously, you have to have the conversion with it.
Hey, I'm Guy Powell, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. And if you haven't already done so, please visit ProRelevant.com and you can find out more information about these episodes and podcasts. And there's a bunch of them, and there's all of them have a really great topic. As you know, I am also the author of the upcoming book, The AI Marketing Machine, and you can find out more information on that at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. Today I'm interviewing Nick Hall of Revive Marketing Partners, and let me tell you a little bit more about him. He has done a lot in scaling CPG brands and doing it profitably on Amazon. He is the founder of an Amazon growth agency, a former eight-figure brand operator, and obsessive about turning ads, listings, and operations into a repeatable growth system that actually works. Wow, that is so important. I mean, getting the money into the pockets, so to speak, of the brands so that they can grow and offer more value to their customers. Nick, welcome. So good to have you.
Before we go any further, a quick pause. This is important. Your sales force is one of the most expensive investments in your company. The real question isn't who's likely to buy someday. It's who should be called right now to create the most value. Traditional propensity models tell you who might convert. Our prescriptive modeling, called COPA, tells you who will convert because you called them. If you manage a large sales organization and want higher conversion, bigger deals, and better use of every rep hour, let's talk. If you want your sales team focused on the calls that matter most, visit prescriptivemodeling.prorelevant.com and set up a short strategy session.
Thanks so much, Guy. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is your backstory on AI and marketing? How did you get involved in all this really cool stuff?
Yeah. Well, I've been around, been doing this for 10 years now, and we built our first CPG business off of Facebook, Google, Instagram, all of the ads of that stuff. And so that was the old school way or whatever. And we're still seeing it works and does well in certain ways or whatever. And then obviously built that business up. We sold it a couple of years ago. I built up my Amazon after I had dealt with a number of Amazon agencies that were far from ideal. And so I started an Amazon agency because I was seeing massive growth within every brand that we would touch. And so, what's been cool is I've gotten to kind of see AI since the beginning. I was, a user from the early days of this and just seeing what it's done so far, but also seeing similarities of what Google did in the early days versus Yahoo versus, Bing versus all the other ones, and just seeing, how things are changing, right? And so it's just as everyone's seen, this AI stuff is just nuts. But using it the wrong way is not useful at all. So,
Yeah, yeah, how true. And it's funny too. Every once in a while it does go off on a tangent and you wonder,
yeah.
what is it doing? Where did it get this? And so it's kind of fun. It's actually fun to then see and try and figure out why it went off, but it can be just a real crazy enhancement to, your everyday activities in marketing. So tell us about Revive. What's Revive Marketing Partners?
Yeah, so I started Revive, and the whole idea on it, if you look at the logo, it's everything's capitalized except for the I. I wanted to start a business that, God first, and so biggest thing in the Bible is it's not as much about I, but more about others, right? We love others, we love God, we love Jesus, we all that. And so I started it in a way of I went through a number of different Amazon agencies, and no one was able to fix what we were able to do, and so I had to take our account, and I ended up reviving the account and making it thrive. And so now what I didn't realize is when I was picking the name Revive was that's probably the most common business name out there for just about every industry. Buddy comes over 2 days after I named my company. He's got a Revive shirt on. And I'm like, dude, how'd you know? And he's like, that's my business name. So, anyways, it's been hilarious with that. But yeah, the biggest thing for us has always been high growth for CPG brands on Amazon. And it's been nothing but fun because that's all we do. We nerd out and we've got 540 hours of training that we do with our team. We do go through 692 questions. They don't just have to have a passing grade, they've got to have a 90% plus because if you want A plus players, you got to have A plus results. And so it's been nothing but fun.
Yeah, wow, wow. So tell us a little bit about Rufus and how it's changing how, you turn keywords into questions and all of that around how to really make Amazon thrive.
Yeah, and I'm gonna kind of share a little bit of like the before to the now and how it's going to continually evolve, or so I believe, because so many people are confused as to, I mean, people don't even know what works without Rufus, right? And so they go out and they assume they know, they go after a lot of things, and then it doesn't end up working. So long story short, but in the olden days, it was just like put your product up on Amazon. Now this is like 2015. Put your product up if it's relevant enough to the keywords, you end up selling. Change a keyword, you end up getting boosted in the organic listings 3 hours later. Now it's substantially deeper. Right now, you're starting to see, well, let me say, even 6 months ago, it's all about, when you look at the A9 algorithm, it's all about conversion rate and velocity. And everyone always says it's this chicken and the egg. And I'm like, no, it's not. You got to understand, Amazon is a public company. They want more revenue from both their customers and from the brands out there. And they also want more profit. And so, how do they do that? Well, conversion rate, you've got to convert highly on each specific term for each product. From a velocity side, how do you get the velocity if you don't have it? You spend money on ads. Give them more money, they'll help reward you on the back end. Obviously, you have to have the conversion with it. And so that's still present today. This is still highly, highly present. And this is where we see all this search volume and all this stuff. But as you start to search on Amazon, the search is completely changing to where it was before. Before it was this predictive search of, the most common things that people search, the most relevant products whenever you search them, all of that. Now it's getting more and more personalized. And so it knows me when I first got out of college, I was making, $7,000 a year, had no money. I was buying the cheapest thing possible. Period. Didn't matter about reviews. Just give me something. I don't care if it breaks in 2 weeks. I don't have the money to buy the $200 AirPods. Now I'm in a little bit of a different spot where I try to buy my best bang for my buck. I may still not go the most expensive, but I want something that works really, really well. And so a good example of this is I was buying an outdoor fan for my patio, and I wanted a big ass fan, equivalent like the two, three, $4,000 fan, but I don't want to pay that amount of money. And so I was like, get me the best one with whatever. Well, I don't know what big ass fans. I don't. What's so good about? I don't know. I just know they work really well. Well, it starts going through the scientific information on it. Like you need CFM of this, this, this. You want an aluminum, blah, 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 blade. And so it starts going through all these details that helps me to understand. I knew what I wanted in theory, but didn't know what I was supposed to look for. And so very quickly it goes, hey, Nick, if you want the cheap option, I knew I didn't want the cheap option. If you want the best bang for your buck, or if you want the best value, but not as worried about price. And I was like, I'm going to live here for 10 years. I'm getting the best. It was a $20 difference in price from the top to the middle, but then it was like a $200 price for the difference. And I'm like, this for me is going to be the best for the long term. But same consumer 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago would have definitely been going towards that cheaper option. And so it was interesting. And then it compared each one of them. So we'll start to see that shift pretty substantially as to like feature based and all the different things of what we want, while knowing Nick consistently is looking at not the most expensive, but this, middle to high end option.
And I guess, Amazon and their algorithms are just incredible. And
Yeah.
so if they're taking that into account, which, I would only assume that they are, in that Nick is going for the middle and Guy is going for the El Cheapo,
Yeah.
then when they say people that bought this also bought that, then the at the top of that list would then be kind of the middle of the road for you, so to speak, and then the El
Yep.
Cheapo for Guy. Yeah, exactly. That's, it's amazing. It's just amazing the kind of applications that are going to be coming up in the analytics. And then, of course, with just AI now with generative AI.
It's
So,
so
one of
crazy.
the things, though, that's interesting on Amazon and Rufus is that some products and categories are going to do better with it versus others. Any thoughts that you have there?
Well, I mean, the reality is I want to say this the appropriate way, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to say it how I think it is. There are certain industries where people are smart. So like you go to the supplement section, Physician's Choice, they know what they're doing. They are staying ahead of this curve. They will crush on TikTok this year. Goalie, they know what they're doing. Whether you like the companies or not, they know exactly what they're doing. When you go into like hardware and tools and stuff like that, it's been the same old. What they're really good at is creating really, really good product, but not necessarily the other stuff. What the Chinese are really good at is knocking off and make something way cheaper, not as good of quality. And so you'll see in this next year, I genuinely believe that Amazon will start rewarding products that are genuinely better than all others. And it's not about this review hacking anymore. It's not about all these black hat tactics. It's not about whatever. It's about what does the consumer actually want? And what's cool is you can go look through all the reviews and see, hey, what are they good at? What are they bad at? And if you can see it from like a percentage level, which is fairly difficult to do, but there's some ways to do it, you can start to see, hey, here are the improvements that we need to make. So what you'll see is from an AI perspective, people that are really, really good at AI, I'll bet you'll see them in like the beauty section, the supplement section. There's gonna be a couple other categories that you're gonna see like they crush on this stuff. And then you're gonna see other people using AI as well, but completely less effectively. And so my belief is that there's going to be some of these less educated areas, let's just say tools, for example, that they're big companies, they've become lazy over time, they're not scrappy, they don't know, and they're told, hey, use AI. And so they're going to go into Gemini and they're going to look up VO3 and they're going to type in, I want a video on this product, you know, turning into a tool. And it's just going to be some like generic, and there was no strategy behind that. Whereas the other people are going to come in and build this like very thought out, good, amazing, and they're going to save so much money because we don't need photographers the way that we did before. We don't need all these other things. So,
Yeah, it's funny when you we're talking about the, kind of the staid and comfortable marketer versus the scrappy, fighting for every dollar and every
yeah,
sale. I don't know if you've ever read this book, Good to Great. About 10
yeah,
years ago, it was, a bestseller. And what's funny is none of those great companies that he had identified, or maybe only one or two, are still on the list.
isn't that
And
crazy?
and I think that's because they got stayed and they got comfortable, and then all of a sudden, they were sideswiped by all
Oh
these
yeah,
upstarts that wanted to to really grow their business and steal sales.
it is crazy, and I mean, I honestly saw it. I was kind of worried for Google for a little bit. Now, Google has just done an incredible job on the AI front recently. I mean, they are just hustling. You can just tell the amount that they're putting into this stuff now. But I'm like, they very well could have gotten swiped away from with ChatGPT and Claude and name all the other ones. And so it's impressive to see these big companies that are actually still acting scrappy.
Quick pause. This is important for any marketing leader. Marketing must continuously prove its value or the budgets dry up. Marketing mix models provide that proof in a way finance and leadership can believe. And we at ProRelevant help teams answer critical questions. Which campaigns actually worked? Which channels really moved the needle? And where should the next dollar go? With over 20 years of experience across complex marketing environments, we know how to deliver clarity, not guesswork. To learn more, go to mmm.prorelevant.com and set up a short strategy session. And now, back to the podcast.
Yeah, and you look at their numbers, I can't remember exactly, it was like 400 billion,
So
in a
crazy.
quarter. It's just incredible what
It
they're
is.
able to do. And so, it's funny too, because I've seen what I believe to be their evolution. They had the AI overviews at the top, and then you had the sponsored links and the money, so to speak, and then you have the organic links. Now they're putting the sponsored links up above, so you have to wade past that, which is
Yep.
okay, so okay, yeah, so there is maybe something that, I might want to buy out of those. And then there's the actual AI result is what I really want to do. And
Yep.
then, if I get a recommendation in there, then then I'd say, wow, that's kind of interesting. That does fit exactly what I was looking for. Let
Yeah.
me go check that out.
And I think where people are getting worried is like from a Google or a ChatGPT or whatever. I saw Claude just launched an ad pretty much talking about how like when using the AI, it's gonna start giving you this like, I'm not very happy right now. and it's going to go, oh, well, you're not very happy because you haven't gotten a massage. You should go visit Massage Envy, and it's like this like total like BS, whatever. And I'm like, I actually genuinely do not believe that. I think that there are going to be some platforms that do this completely wrong. Absolutely. But I do think that the way that they'll do it is going to be very, very smart. And I think TikTok has taken over and really like pushed the limits on all other social media platforms because honestly, most of these other social media platforms, like, it's not that hard to get off Facebook now. But TikTok's pretty dang hard to get off of. You
Yeah.
almost don't want to get on it because you're probably not going to get off. I mean, they have stuff down to a science. And so, like, when you look at the algorithms of how they're doing it, I'm like, you're going to start seeing very similar. Well, UGC content has always been of some value. TikTok made it where it was, I mean, literally, I could within weeks build it where I'm making 50,000 bucks a month on TikTok. Just some regular dude out there that, whatever, doesn't have anything special. I mean, I'm friends with a bunch of like major time influencers, and they're like, dude, it's crazy. I can't get views the way that I used to. This is not the same as what it was. People, I mean, he could get a picture of him, or he could get more famous now clipping his toenails than he can doing what he was doing. And I'm like, whoa, it's wild. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, after we get off, I'll tell you, but another story. But I have one TikTok. It's the craziest thing. I've got 950,000 views. I am
God,
like I am like there. But now all of a sudden my views have stopped. And I
yeah.
was talking to a guy yesterday, and he says, "Guy, they've changed their algorithm. Unfortunately, the algorithm change means you have to start spending money. My goal is I want to get the thing over a million." And so now
Yeah.
with TikTok, I got to spend some money to do that.
And you know how these algorithms work. You've been in this space for long enough to know it's like they always start off cheap or free, right? So
Yeah.
TikTok was free, everyone was making money, tons of money, all this stuff, which was true. It wasn't fake. And then it gradually goes, well, look, ChatGPT, they're bringing in ads already, right? And then Rufus, Amazon search will, I think it'll be a little bit slower than where Google's at, but I think you're going to see the same thing. But within their AI, they're also going to have the sponsored links within it. And early on, it's going to be fairly cheap. And so get in early if you can learn it, but you got to be a first mover.
Mm. Well, what's interesting too, about search on Amazon, the search on Amazon was never, I don't know, maybe it was powerful, but um, all of a sudden it seems to steal all of like the purchase intent related searches from Amazon. I don't know how, I mean, from Google. I don't know how Google is going to, be able to survive on that because
No.
if when I want to buy something, I go into I'll do a search on Google and I say, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm going to search on Amazon. I go to
Yeah,
Amazon and I do the search, and then all of a sudden I get, 20 different results of what I'm looking for, and then I buy right there.
I know. And I mean, I see, I'm the exact same way. I mean, let's be real. I bought an Oura ring at one point thinking like, oh, I'll start tracking my sleep and doing all that stuff, thinking I'm gonna get better sleep, even though I've got three kids at three and under. And I'm like, this ring ain't gonna do shit. I'm not getting sleep because I got three, little kids. And so I returned it. But the reason I bought it on Amazon was because I can return it. It's super easy.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
whatever. I know that there are a ton of people that still search through Google and all of that, but I'm like, man, that's strictly informational for me at this point.
Yeah.
What's crazy is Amazon's becoming more informational with all this
Mm.
AI. Now, I do think that Amazon is substantially further behind than a Google with all of the AI stuff. They're moving quite a bit slower. They're having to like partner with some of these other platforms. So we'll see where it ends up changing on that.
Well, it's funny you say that. I think they are slower on the generative AI, but
Hmm.
on the analytic AI, man, they are the leader. And
Hmm.
when I was talking to a friend of mine, VP of marketing, and he said, "Guy, we have to update our user interface for purchasing because the standard in the market now is how you can buy on Amazon. And if I'm not anywhere near as good as that, then
Yeah.
everybody complains. So I've got to make my site just as good as Amazon in terms of being able to, make that user interface work
Yeah.
the way that people think Amazon is working."
Yeah. And the reality is you won't because Amazon has your trust.
Yeah,
Like if you
yeah.
don't have the trust early on, it depends on the business, right? Like B2B, you can build the trust over time and it's like, okay, we know that they ship next day. Uline does an incredible job. If you've ever seen the operations of Uline, I'm like, that is a B2B company that sells a bunch of commodity items at a reasonable price. They're not even like that cheap. And I'm like, they've done a great job. Most others though, I'm like, I just bought something off of someone's site and it's probably the first thing I bought off of someone's site in forever because I'm like, if it's on Amazon, I'm buying. If it was on Amazon, I would have bought it there. Way
Mm.
rather had it done there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And couldn't agree with you more. And the returns are so easy
Yeah.
and stuff like that. All right.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
anyway, one other question for you, and that is, so getting a little bit away from Amazon, but not too
Yeah.
far. You know, a lot of people are using AI to generate some creative and do it at scale, and
Yep.
and I don't know if it's good creative or bad creatives, but tell us how you can kind of separate the high performing ads from kind of the AI generated clutter that you now see and especially now see on Amazon.
Gosh, this is where like I think your next book is gonna be so valuable for so many people. Is like if you're able to do this really, really well, you're gonna be able to make a whole lot of money. And I'm not saying you need to go start an AI company. Like I've got a buddy right now, he did 10 million in 3 months. And he created a product that he thought was good. He's created dozens of products and he'll go test them. Landing pages creates with AI slash adjustments manually and some of that stuff. His no photography, zero photography within it, besides a camera pulling it out and taking a picture and then AIing the rest. And I mean, it is insane to see what they're able to do now with AI. Now, he is someone that is like elite within AI marketing, right? Which I think a lot of people are going to start to learn through your book and other sources out there and all of this stuff. Those that just go out there though and say, "Give me a picture for Amazon," that's just not going to work. And so like the prompting is super important. The You've got to understand the strategy behind all of it too. And so like while we want to say that ChatGPT and all these AIs are so good at all this stuff, it's like good, but like you've still got to be able to work it.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And that's where I think and we'd kind of talked about this before we got started was the general versus the specific result.
That's right.
And that prompting and the information you give the engine ahead of time so that when you type in the prompt, give me an ad that fits the blah 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 purchase mechanism that people are using now on Amazon, you'll actually get something of real value. Still going to have to tweak it, but it's not going to be kind of this generic kind of average
Yep.
type of an ad that you'd otherwise see.
Yeah, I mean it is crazy. Like to me, I'm like, and people complain about everything, right? So once this gets so good that there's very little editing, people will be like, "Oh, I wish I could just, you know, do it." It's like, well, you got to understand that like, I mean, when you're doing a photo shoot, you take 500 pictures, you're picking like 5, you know? With this, it's like you prompted enough. It should be pretty good, but like it's taken from your head, which our heads usually don't share everything in it, you know? So it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I was talking to a guy yesterday and he said, "Yeah, we got to somehow get a chip in people's brains and we'll be able to really figure stuff out."
Oh
But
yeah.
it's funny though too. He said, "But there's even if you could, take all of Guy's history
Hmm.
and all the things that he's experiencing today and then, and then he's going to go out and buy something or do something or whatever. There's always this random component that where a guy just says, that's kind of weird, but let me do that over there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all of a sudden the AI didn't predict that.
Yep.
And so, it's gonna be interesting to see how all of this comes together over the next couple of years, that's for sure.
Oh, it totally is. And you know, I think what's always interesting with all this stuff is, and I think we were talking about this before fully recording, but we're gonna have people that are gonna under exaggerate this and over exaggerate it. And so we have people right now that are taking no adoption to it. Oh, it's
Mm.
crazy. It's the devil. It's the this. It's the blah, 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 whatever. And then there's people on the other side that are like so into it that they're like, oh my God, it's gonna take over every single job. And I'm like, I promise you, it's gonna be neither of those. It's gonna be somewhere in the middle, and it's gonna be super impressive, just like software was super impressive in the 2000s. We don't even think about softwares now. There's new software, whatever you need help with right now. There's a software out there for. In fact, there's probably 10 of them. And so this is going to be the same thing. And if we use it the right way, we can become more and more powerful. I always tell my team, you know, I've got a buddy of mine that one of his biggest complaints is he goes, why are we still working 40-hour work weeks when our parents, grandparents were working 40 hours, but they had no efficiency. You know, they didn't have a laptop they could bring home. They didn't have, all of the efficiency. And I'm like, the reality is we all get to live like kings today. Like a king 150 years ago did not have this kind of power, did not have the power of a phone. And so it's so interesting to see like what we're able to do. And I mean, I had employees back in the day that were making $10 an hour, and maybe it's a little more than that, but like not a lot. and they were living like kings. I mean, they had brand new iPhones. They had, they go eat at restaurants and do as, pretty crazy. We can all get grocery delivery now. It's like we all have an assistant. Eh? We just got to pay a little
Yep.
bit.
Yep.
Now, the super rich used to have that. Now, us average people can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Nick, this has been fantastic. Any other thoughts before I ask you my last question, or?
I mean, I think the biggest thing on my side is I'm never like the person that's going to be the first mover in this stuff. I'm always a second mover. Everyone has their different personalities. I think for everyone, they should look deeper into all of this stuff and really just start to see like what are the capabilities and what can you do, and then dive deeper. I do think with kind of what you're talking about from a marketing standpoint, people have got to start understanding the depths of this stuff. What are the true capabilities? Where is it good? Where is it bad? And then where can you actually like accelerate? To me, it makes me more efficient.
Yeah, yeah, and it really, really does. And interesting point about your 40 hours a week. I think what happens to me is now, it's kind of like, man, I was so efficient at getting that thing done. Now I can do 10 more things.
That's exactly right. I'm probably working
And
more because I can do so much. And I'm like, dang,
I
this feels
know.
good. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true.
That's
So,
awesome.
with all of this AI, one of the big challenges is for new up and coming marketers. So what kind of advice would you give a new and up and coming marketer?
I think you've got to be involved with AI. No questions asked. I mean, we're seeing it through every area of business now. I would say from marketers to people in finance to operators, but marketers specifically, the ones that are going to win are the ones that are ahead of the curve on this stuff. You don't have to be the first one. You don't have to like look through everything and go through everything, but you need to get in, figure out the base of what's super important, right? So if you're on the creative side, if you're on the analytics side, if you're like figure out your area, figure out what is best for that specific thing and go super, super deep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and it really is. Hopefully for the universities and colleges out there that they are truly offering stuff that really at the cutting edge for AI. And if they're not going to be producing kids coming out of college and university with the right skills that are needed.
Yeah, and I don't think that they will. Universities are too slow to adapt. We've been using
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
textbooks for
yeah.
the last how many years, right? And I've got a buddy that's like going to school for AI, and I'm like, well, I mean, you'd be better off on a YouTube channel. I mean, those people have got to be. This
Yeah,
is daily news coming out. I mean, Claude 4.6 comes out yesterday. Claude bot, Moltbot, whatever they're calling it now. I'm like, to a week and a half ago, and I'm like, look at the crate. I'm like, it's it's nuts. It is
yeah.
nuts.
It really is. It really is. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being on today. I learned a lot and certainly very inspiring. Now I have to go off and do one other thing and start my Amazon
That's right.
business. So,
That's right. Well, I
yeah,
appreciate you, Guy.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. And for the audience, definitely stay tuned for many other videos in this series of the backstory on marketing and AI. Oh, and I need to ask one other quick thing. And so, where can folks learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best. I'm pretty much sharing my whole playbook on Amazon and Rufus and all the new things coming out, and then launching YouTube and TikTok here. So you can find me all through there.
All right, fantastic. So everybody definitely reach out to Nick and his company, Revive Marketing Partners, and otherwise check out my site, marketingmachine.prorelevant.com, and find out what's coming up. We've got some big things about to be launched in the next week or two. Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you, Guy.